Imagine these three sports: cycling, running marathons, and swimming. Only now our athletes all have terrible muscular endurance. They would be very boring to watch on TV, but in the specific case of swimming, a lot of people end up drowning because their muscular endurance cannot keep them afloat. All right. That's so funny. Of course, there's cardio involved in that as well. But what is muscular endurance? Muscular endurance is how long our muscles can continue to perform reps before they finally just shut down. We are just unable to move. We've reached the limit. Okay. And so let's talk about how we can influence our muscular endurance, increase it. And we're going to talk about dynamic and isometric. And at the very end, I'm going to talk about how we can improve our muscular endurance with the Isochain. All right. First thing we want to do, it's reps. All right. We want to improve our repetitions. And what's important about that is we want to improve our repetitions in a row. Okay. If we take mini breaks, are we still going to overall increase our muscular endurance? Yeah, but not as good as if we do them in a row. Why? Because you have all that lactic acid building up from each repetition. All right. And if we don't take a break and we do them all in a row, it's actually very simple to document your progress when you train that way, because then let's say, for example, 10 reps is how much you could do in a row on push-ups before complete muscle failure, which is fine. All right. And then we know, since it's written on paper, that Tuesday we have to get 11. And that is the true test of building up muscular endurance. Now there's strength in there as well, but that's a different video. All right. And then Wednesday, all right, you get the 11. And then on Wednesday, we got to get 12. Okay, so muscular endurance, we're just increasing the amount of repetitions that we can get before we just completely just fall over. Another way to increase our muscular endurance is to lower the rest time. In my opinion, this is the most miserable of all methods. Can you tell I'm speaking from experience? Okay, in fact, let me give you an experience real quick. So this was about like 6-7 years ago. I was taking my same program and I didn't want to change anything else. I just wanted to manipulate my rest time. So I was doing 3-minute rest times because I had more of a strength building program at that time. So it was heavier weight, less repetitions, and bigger rest time. So guys, I just took my exact same workout and I reduced the rest time from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. Mind you, I had been doing that workout for about 6 to 8 weeks already. So I was already pretty conditioned. It was near the end of the phase before I was switching. That one switch almost made me puke. It was that intense. It really helps with our muscular endurance. Why? Because our body's not getting enough time to recover. Okay, so now we're putting those same loads back onto your body and you're asking it to do the same thing. So now it's kind of, you can kind of see that it's kind of similar to doing the reps to failure and then just trying to beat that. All right, we are taking our body's limits. In this case, now it's sets and reps with the appropriate load, and we're just trying to stretch it a little bit without fully recovering. We are taking our body to failure. See what I'm saying? See what I'm getting at? Method number 3, do more reps, period. So isn't it the same as doing reps in a row? Well, not exactly. Okay, let's say that, you know what, I'm just gonna use my personal thing right now. Right now I'm in a calisthenics challenge with a couple of my clients and some friends. All right, so we decided to pick a calisthenic movement. In my case, body weight squat. We're gonna take it to failure and we're just going to see how many we can get. Now let's talk about, we're going to take that challenge and bring the muscular endurance portion into it. So my thing right now is I'm doing 3 sets of 170 squats. All right, I would love to lie and tell you that I can do 170 in a row. I cannot. My limit right now is right around 110 before I finally peter out. I take about 10 to 15 seconds. I try not to take that long and I go into it again until I hit 170. So I'm usually breaking about 6 little mini rests before I finally hit my number, and then I take a 3-minute rest and then I do sets 2, 3-minute rest, set 3, and I'm documenting how many times I have to stop and at what rep number. Okay, so now that I documented that, the next time I do my session, I know the number I stopped at and I'm trying to increase the amount of reps I can perform before I hit failure at the number I did last time. Does that make sense? So for example, I failed at 110 on set 1 before I kept going. Then I know that I want to at least last to 111 on the next go around, okay? What is that doing? Well, as one, it's making me more efficient in the exercise. Two, is building up muscular endurance, man. How long can our body sustain that load, in this case the body weight, before complete muscle exhaustion, before I just crumble to the floor? All right, so even though they're not in a row, I'm getting so much volume there. How do I increase that? Well, like I said, one of the ways is just to increase the amount of reps you get before you have to pause for those reps. The second is to add another set with more reps. That's another way to increase your, why? Because we're increasing volume. So let's say, I'm not gonna hold you guys, this is 510 squats I'm doing. So if I'm adding another set, it doesn't have to be 170 for set 4. It could be like 20, but I have increased my capacity from 510 to 530. I think that's the right number. Does that make sense? I am now doing more. The last method, which I thought was the worst, but I still think that lowering the rest times is the worst, my personal opinion, is holding isometric pauses and holding it for longer periods of time. This one we should be more familiar with for those of us on the squad that have been here for a while. So if we're holding a wall sit for 30 seconds, how do we progress that? Well, there are a couple ways. One, we can increase the load, so we can add like a plate to our lap, okay? We can reduce the rest time like we had talked about, or we can just hold it for longer. By far, number 3 is the most miserable, but it works because while we're getting all the benefits of the isometric contraction and our muscles are absolutely on fire just trying to keep us in place, our muscular endurance is being worked directly because it's literally holding us for X amount of time. And so if you think about the broad term of endurance, if we can hold it for 35 seconds, that's an increase in endurance because we held it for longer. 40 seconds, increase in endurance, we held it for longer. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we held it for longer. Does that make sense? And lastly, how will we increase our muscular endurance with the Isochain? Isochain is a little bit of a different beast as we're using overcoming isometric training. So mainly it's going to come with average mode. So average mode is utilizing a set amount of time that we set on time mode on the Isochain. You click the time mode, and then how long can we sustain X amount of load for that time period? Here's an example. Let's say we're doing the Zercher squat and we're trying to hold for 2 minutes, which already sounds like a freaking nightmare. Okay, so let's say that we set on time mode the load to 100. So we're trying to hear a beat. Physically, you are capable of forces up to about 180 to 190. It's just an example. All right, so initially going over 100 pounds is not really going to be a big deal at first. But then you're going to realize really quickly, this freaking sucks, okay? And as time goes on, you're going to notice that the number is going to go down and down. If you're even able to see it with the Zercher squat, I guess bicep curl will be another good one to use as you'd be able to see it in real time. And so right near the end, if you're able to hold it over 100 for that amount of time, dude, kudos to you, for real. And then what you do is hit average mode, and then you'll see the amount of force that you had throughout the entire contraction as long as it didn't go down to 0. And then what you do to progress that is you take the same structure for the next session. Let's say it's 100 and it's the same time period, and now you're just trying to get that average mode number higher. So you'll have to see the number in real time and make sure that you're keeping that volume, that force production high, and then that is going to make our muscles more efficient in that lift, and they're definitely going to have more endurance because they're going to be able to hold those forces more efficiently. If you want to see this in action, check out the Iron Man, which you can find right here, or check out 3 Days On, which you can find right here. 2 different Isochain workouts, but they are just absolutely brutal, of which I think 3 Days On might have been a little worse than Ironman, but not by much, as my bicep locked up on Ironman. But anyway, I'll never forget that. What are your thoughts? Have you trained for endurance isometrically? I actually would like to know that. Comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like and comment. It helps the algorithm out so people know the value of isometrics, as it is very much slept on. And if you're not yet part of the squad, hit that subscribe button. Come join the squad with us. We'll see you next video. Peace.